Welcome back to Mr. Recaped.
Today, I will show you a drama, horror thriller film from 2012 titled House at the End of the Street. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. It is a stormy night and Carrie Ann Jacobson isn't sleeping. She sneaks out of her room and walks down the hallway, accidentally bumping against the lamp that falls to the floor. The noise wakes her parents up, so the mother comes down to check on her, but Carrie Ann attacks her with an axe as soon as she comes closer. Next, she rushes into her parents' bedroom and kills her father as well before running away into the forest. 4 years later, Dr. Sarah Cassidy and her teenage daughter, Alyssa Cassidy, move next to the house of the murders, which can be seen from their window. Sarah thinks the house is empty, but she's grateful because thanks to it, her own rent is very cheap. Alyssa goes for a walk in the forest and finds a few abandoned blankets. She also hears some noises among the trees that causes her to leave. Later in the evening, Alyssa and Sarah talk about her dad over dinner. Sarah chose to divorce him because he was on the road 9 months out of the year, but she still misses him sometimes. Alyssa needs to get used to having Sarah around, but they both believe the place will be good for them. At 3 in the morning, Sarah is woken up by some noises from the neighbor's house. A car has arrived and someone is going inside and turning on the lights. The next day, Sarah and Alyssa meet the neighbors at a potluck. Sarah asks one of them about the light she saw, and the man confirms the house isn't empty. The surviving son, Ryan Jacobson, lives there. Alyssa is introduced to Tyler Reynolds, a teenage boy that goes to a school she'll be going to and an organizer of a famine relief program. During lunch, she asks if Ryan will be joining them, but the neighbors say he won't because he keeps to himself. Some of them thinks he shouldn't live there and the house should be burned down because it brings down real estate value. Alyssa asks where Ryan was the night of the murders. Tyler tells her he was staying with an aunt upstate. Nobody knows what happened to Carrie Ann. It is believed that she drowned in the dam, but her body was never found, so some rumors say she still lives in the woods. When Sarah and Alyssa go back home later, Alyssa hears some noises in the woods again, and a shadow can be seen among the trees. One morning, Alyssa plays her guitar and sings on the porch before going to school. Tyler invites her to his famine relief program meeting, and Alyssa initially says no because she has plans with her mom. But after Sarah calls her to tell her she's been assigned the night shift, Alyssa accepts the invitation. When she goes over to Tyler's in the evening, she discovers the meeting is actually a party filled with gambling, music, and alcohol. A few moments later, while looking for the bathroom, Alyssa finds a sick girl on the bed, Jillian. She asks her if she's fine and covers her with a blanket, but the girl just gets up and rushes into the bathroom to throw up. So Alyssa decides to sit on the bed and wait until the bathroom is free. Tyler finds her there and sits next to her, getting in her personal space to hit on her. Alyssa calls him drunk, but he insists and pushes her down on the bed to assault her. Alyssa turns him down again and pushes him off before leaving the house. The road is dark and empty. There is also thunder rumbling in the distance. Alyssa starts walking home, and when a car stops near her, she tries to call her mom, but she doesn't pick up. The driver turns out to be Ryan, who recognizes Alyssa as his new neighbor and offers her a ride, but she turns it down. Just a few seconds later, though, rain starts falling heavily, so when Ryan stops the car again, Alyssa accepts to get in. After a moment of awkward silence, Alyssa asks him how he can live in the house where his parents got killed. He explains he's fixing it up to sell it. Ryan tells her he can hear her singing in the morning and that she was good. Alyssa says she used to be in a band and that her dad was a rock star too. She finds that Ryan still has cassettes and an 8-ball keychain in the car. That's because it used to be his dad's. When she comments on how quiet the area is, he replies his favorite quiet time is dawn, because that's when he can write. They arrive at Alyssa's place and she says goodbye to him when her mother starts calling her on the phone. Sarah also starts questioning her as soon as she makes it inside, not liking it when Alyssa explains it was Ryan who gave her a ride. Meanwhile, Ryan is making dinner that he puts on a tray and takes to a hidden room under the basement. When he opens the door at the end of the hallway, he's jumped on by Carrie Ann, but he overpowers her and uses a needle to sedate her. He doesn't understand why she always tries to escape since he takes good care of her. He also asks her not to bother the new neighbors. When he leaves the room, he leaves the key in its usual place, which is on top of the doorframe. The next day at school, Alyssa avoids Tyler, who insults her for it. Jillian comes to sit with her and thanks her for her help during the party. She also introduces her to her brother Jake and his best friend Robbie, who know Alyssa used to be in a band because they googled her. There's a battle of the bands coming up and they invite her to sing with their band as they give her a USB stick so she can check them out. At the hospital, Sarah meets Officer Bill Weaver and asks him about Ryan, wanting to know if he's trustworthy. Bill feels bad the way people treat the boy. He was the one that had to bring him the news of his parents' death. He says Ryan's aunt was a senile old woman and Ryan was the one taking care of her instead of the other way around, but she died a year ago. As far as he knows, Ryan has never gotten in trouble, but the neighbors like to complain about him anyway. Alyssa goes to the neighbor's house to visit Ryan and takes him a CD she made for him. She finds him checking out her website because he wanted to listen to more of her music. She notices he has a baby monitor on the table, kid drawings on the fridge, and way too much food. He explains this because he tries to go to town as little as possible. While looking around the house, she finds a picture of the family and says it must have been nice to have both parents together. Ryan tells her Carrie Ann was the heart of the family and everything changed after the accident. That's the time she was sent away. Afterward, Alyssa finds Carrie Ann's room, which looks like it belonged to a little kid, while Carrie Ann was supposedly 13. Ryan explains she had brain damage from the time she fell off the swings while Ryan was watching over her because her parents were inside all day consuming drugs, although he doesn't tell Alyssa about that last fact. When Carrie Ann woke up, she was different. She would attack her family and break things. That's why there were bars on her windows. After Alyssa leaves the house, Ryan checks on Carrie Ann, and he's so distracted by the guilt and the memories he revisited today that he forgets to lock the door. While helping her mom make the bed, Alyssa tells her she's visited Ryan and she thinks he's a very sweet but sad boy. Sarah says she's just trying to fix him, to which Alyssa takes offense and causes her to leave the room. Thanks to Ryan's mistake, Carrie Ann escapes and tries to reach the neighbor's house. Ryan sees her through the window, so he stops riding and goes after her. The noises Carrie Ann makes when walking on the back porch alert Alyssa, who comes outside to see what's going on. She's suddenly startled by someone touching her back, but it's just Jillian, who had let herself in because the front door had been left open. After the girls go back inside, we see Ryan has captured Carrie Ann and they are hiding nearby. The next day, Alyssa plays for Jake and Robbie and joins their band. Later in the evening, she discovers her mom has invited Ryan over for dinner. Sarah asks him many awkward questions while drinking a lot of wine, but when she leaves the room to get dessert, Ryan still thanks Alyssa for being the first person to invite him somewhere since the murders. Alyssa holds his hand to comfort him, but quickly takes it back when her mom returns. Sarah is worried about her daughter, who is just a high school student while Ryan is a college boy, so she puts a rule in place. She does want them to be friends, but they aren't allowed to hang out unless she's there as well. Alyssa obviously dislikes this, but Ryan says he'll respect the rule before leaving. Mother and daughter end the night arguing over this. The following day, Sarah tells what happened to Bill, who is very understanding. Sarah says she knows she can't keep Alyssa from boys, but she doesn't want her to make the same mistake she did. Besides, she knows Alyssa likes to pick the most damaged boy around and makes him into a project, and she doesn't want Ryan to be part of that pattern. Meanwhile, Alyssa is complaining about her mother to Jillian when they come across Ryan. Alyssa had called him there to apologize for last night. Then she asks him for a ride, saying that since Jillian will be with them, they'll technically not be alone. After dropping Jillian at her home, Alyssa gets a call from her mom saying she'll have another late shift. Sarah had actually called the house, but Alyssa had forwarded all the house calls to her cell phone, so her mom will never know that she's with Ryan. They go to Ryan's place and take a walk in the woods, where Ryan shows him a special tree that looks like a face. Alyssa tells him she likes the way he sees things and kisses him. They go inside the house and make out on the couch. The noises they make reach Carrie Ann through the baby monitor. She gets out of her bed and finds the lid of a cardboard box, which she flattens out and slides under the door. Then, she hits the door a couple of times until the key falls on the lid. So when Carrie Ann slides the cardboard back inside, she can grab the key and open the door. She sneaks upstairs and grabs a knife. Ryan sees her just in time as Alyssa is about to find her. He kicks Alyssa out of the house before chasing after Carrie Ann, who is now running through the woods. There's a couple in a car nearby, and Carrie Ann is about to reach them when Ryan jumps on her and captures her. While dragging her to a hiding spot, he covers her mouth with his hand, but Carrie Ann keeps on making noises that could alert the couple, so his hold on her becomes stronger. This, however, makes him accidentally snap her neck and kill her. Devastated with grief, he puts her body in the trunk of his car then drives away. After taking care of the body, he enters a diner where he meets a kind waitress named Peggy Johns, who is wearing a Penn State sweatshirt. Feeling bad for him, she gives him some cake and milk on the house. Alyssa is on the phone with Jillian telling her what happened, but she hangs up when Sarah comes over to apologize for how she handled things with Ryan and gives her a gift for her show. But Alyssa isn't in the mood to talk to her, so she just gives her short performative answers. The next day, she practices with her band when Ryan calls her to apologize and says he needs to tell her some things later. Alyssa takes the chance to invite him to Battle of the Bands, which he accepts. After hanging up, Ryan changes the lock of the special hidden room. Later in the evening, Ryan arrives at the school, where Tyler and his friends make fun of him. He enters the building to say hi to Alyssa, but they are interrupted when a boy tells him his car is getting thrashed. They rush outside to find Tyler and his friends are the ones destroying the vehicle, so they try to stop them. But Alyssa is grabbed by one of the boys while the rest of the group punches and kicks Ryan. Suddenly, Ryan grabs Tyler's leg, breaks it, and throws him on the floor and steps on the broken leg before fleeing. While the bullies decide to go to Ryan's place to wreck it, Alyssa finds Ryan's keys on the floor, so she picks him up and takes the car back to his house. The boys have started a fire and leave when Alyssa arrives. Thankfully, only the drapes are burning so far, so Alyssa gets inside and manages to stop it before it could get worse. While she's taking care of the burning drapes, Sarah calls her. Tyler had been admitted to the hospital, so she heard what happened. Alyssa tells her he had only defended himself against 6 guys. After hanging up on her, she finds a box of tampons and another strange box in Ryan's trash. At the hospital, Bill defends Ryan from Tyler's angry parents. Because Sarah has a bad feeling, he promises her they'll stop by her house too when he goes to check on Ryan. Meanwhile, Alyssa hears some weird noises coming from the basement, which is locked. After using the key she found earlier to open it, she goes downstairs and finds out it's only the washing machine. But when she's about to leave, she notices the hidden door under the carpet and decides to go in. When she enters the room at the end of the hallway, she's jumped on by Carrie Ann, whose mouth had been muzzled. Ryan arrives just in time to save her. He tells her to go upstairs while he takes care of his sister. After the camera shows us a Penn State sweatshirt hanging on a chair, we see Ryan sedate Carrie Ann and tie her to the bed while telling her Alyssa isn't like the others and she will help them. There's one weird detail, however. One of Carrie Ann's eyes isn't blue. Upstairs, Alyssa notices a contact lens stuck on her arm. She opens the trash and confirms her suspicions. The strange box had held a pair of blue contact lenses. She also finds a wallet belonging to Peggy, the waitress. Suddenly, she's startled by a voice behind her. It's Ryan, who asks her to promise not to tell anyone about Carrie Ann. He also lies and says the wallet is his. Alyssa promises she won't tell and tries to leave, but Ryan hits her to knock her out and takes her to Carrie Ann's room. He doesn't notice her phone has fallen on the floor. Alyssa wakes up tied to a chair while Ryan tells more of the story. Carrie Ann had actually died that day on the swings and he blames himself for it. This makes Alyssa wonder who killed his parents then, but he doesn't answer the question. He just says that while he does like Alyssa, he needs Carrie Ann. He can't have both, but he could transform Alyssa into Carrie Ann as he did with all the other girls he's kidnapped, so he grabs Peggy and takes her with him, leaving Alyssa locked in the room. While Ryan puts his car in the garage, Sarah calls Alyssa and gets the cell phone's answering machine, making her realize she's been forwarding her calls all this time. She calls Bill next to inform him of this, begging to check Ryan's house first. Ryan goes back to Carrie Ann's room and starts preparing the things to transform Alyssa into his sister. He says Carrie Ann's death was his fault and that's why his parents punished him, but he stopped them. They hear Bill arrive at the house through the baby monitor, so he goes upstairs to answer his questions with lies. Meanwhile, Alyssa manages to free her feet from the bindings and kicks a lamp to make it fall on her arm. She uses it to burn through the bindings on her arm. It also burns her skin, but she endures for the sake of freedom. Back upstairs, Bill is leaving, but he notices Peggy's wallet and gets suspicious. So once outside, he calls Sarah's house and gets forwarded to Alyssa's phone, which he can hear inside the house. Ryan hears it as well, so he grabs a knife and turns off the light before hiding behind a wall. After taking out his gun, Bill re-enters the house to find the basement door open. He's about to go in when Ryan jumps on him from behind and pushes him down the stairs. He is angry with Bill because he had always known his parents were addicts and helped them cover up for Carrie Ann's death, but never did anything to stop them. Bill tells him he's always protected him. Ryan responds he's only protecting himself as he repeatedly stabs him. Alyssa has freed herself by the time Ryan returns. She hits him with the door when he enters the room and locks him inside before running away. When she makes it to the basement, she pushes the washing machine on top of the hidden doors, then is shocked to find Bill's body. She tries to leave, but the basement door is locked, so after failing to find Bill's gun on his holster, she goes into the garage. She isn't able to open the doors there either, and when she gets in the car, there are no keys so she can't start it, but she does find a box with a piece of cloth and a bottle of chloroform in it. Ryan, who managed to escape because he had the keys with him, finds her, then uses the cloth she found to knock her out. Sarah arrives at the house while Ryan puts Alyssa in the trunk of his car, just before she wakes up and finds Peggy's body next to her. While Ryan talks to Sarah at the door, Alyssa kicks off the car seats, creating a hole through which she can get out. Afterwards, she grabs a hammer and breaks the window of the garage door so she can call for her mom. Sarah hears this and enters the house to look for her. Ryan stops her by stabbing her. Alyssa returns to the basement through the broken windows and hides behind some furniture as Ryan throws Sarah on the floor. He's about to carry her body away when he notices Alyssa has escaped, so he puts Sarah down and grabs a knife before looking for Alyssa. He finds her when he hears her trying to move. He attempts to grab her, but she kicks him off her. Afterward, she finally finds Bill's gun and attempts to shoot Ryan, who hides and turns off the power. Luckily for Alyssa, she's also found Bill's flashlight, so she manages to see and shoot Ryan when he's about to jump on her. After turning the power back on, she approaches his body to grab his keys, but he wakes up and grabs her wrist. It's Sarah that saves her by hitting him with a hammer. Together, mother and daughter escape. The movie ends with Sarah and Alyssa moving out of town and Ryan being confined to a psychiatric ward. Through a flashback, we finally learn the final piece of the story behind the murders. After Carrie Ann's death, their parents dressed Ryan in her clothes and called him by her name. They even treated him as if he was their daughter. It was him who had murdered them for it.
Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.